folks here are people that are affected by the hurricane Irma. We have lots of friends in a place in Florida, so you kind of get the full feeling of anxiety that comes with all this, and hopefully we'll be able to do something to help some of those people as well. But from a game standpoint, I thought we improved some as a team in this last game. Our execution was a little bit better. Attention to detail was a little bit better. We didn't finish some plays that we could have finished. Like to see us be a little bit more aggressive in terms of I think we got on our heels a little bit on defense because they did some things that we hadn't practiced or weren't prepared for, which can happen. And I think our players need to understand will happen a lot of the times. We got to be able to adapt and adjust and still play and be aggressive. But we had some good performances. You got the Players of the Week and all that. And Matt Womack is Offensive Lineman of the Week, which is a good thing. And from an injury standpoint, Lester Cotton will be out probably just today, probably be back to practice tomorrow. And Dylan Moses is out of practice today, but probably be back sometime soon. So I don't think either one of them are serious injuries. Colorado State is, a really good football team. I think, Mike Bobo has done a really good job there. These guys play hard. They're physical. They're very aggressive in their style. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They've got a good quarterback. They got a lot of balance in what they do. They've scored a lot of points so far this year, and they've limited their opponents pretty well when it comes to point totals and what they've been able to give up. They've got a really good receiver in number 4 and a good running back. And the quarterback I've already mentioned is a very, very good passer, and they made a lot of really, really good big plays in the passing game. So this was a good team. It's going to be a challenging game for us. We need to play better on both sides of the ball. And I think the one thing that, if you're any player and you ask yourself, if I was a stock, is my stock going up based on the way I played in the first 2 games, or is there things I need to work on to get better? And I think that hopefully most of the players would say, at this point, we need to be working to get better. And that's certainly how I feel as a coach and what I'd like to try to help our players do.
Start here on the right side. Chandler.
And Matt Womack, in your opening statement, what has he done since the fall and since right here? What has Matt Womack done since spring and the fall to kind of lock that job down? And is there still competition there between he and Jedrick?
Well, Jedrick played quite a bit in the game and did a pretty good job for the first time out there. And I think Matt has really improved. He's played with more power, has improved his pass protection. He's a tough guy that it means a lot to him, and he works hard. And I think he's an example of a guy who has really developed an ability to play winning football. And I think Jedrick is a guy that can play winning football for us too as he gets more knowledge and experience. So we're going to try to always play the best players.
Here in the middle with Michael.
Just on that theme, had you gone back and looked at the tape of the O-line any better than so-so, and would there be any new hires?
Well, I think that the offensive line did a better job in this game. And I think when I talk about finishing plays, there were probably 7 plays that we have a hat on a hat that if we finish one block, that play would be significantly more successful and maybe even an explosive big play. So when I talk about finishing, I think that's what we need to do. Same thing in pass protection. We get a hat on a hat. We got to finish, get the right hand placement, get in the right position so that we have a chance to throw the ball down the field more.
Come back up front with Mark.
Just after watching the film, how do you think Jamie Mosley did in his first start, and also the freshman Chris Allen, how did he look in his first action?
Well, I think both those guys, we weren't disappointed in how they played. They certainly made a lot of progress, and we're going to have to continue to work with those guys so that they continue to develop at that position. and we're encouraged by their effort, their attitude, the way they're working at it, and we're going to do the best we can to get them to play the best they can, and kind of go from there.
Back over here with Reiner.
You guys seem to have incorporated Bo Scarborough more into the passing game. I think he has one fewer reception than he had last year. Can you talk about that and getting the running backs involved in the passing game a little bit more?
Well, we've always tried to have the running backs involved in the passing game. They all have, sometimes they have responsibilities before they go out in terms of pass protection. So sometimes what the defense does determines whether they get out or they don't get out. Sometimes you free release them and somebody else has to block, and if they rush, you got to block 5-man protection and get the ball out hot, which we do that too. But we want to get our backs involved in the passing game, and I think the system that we have right now allows us to do that. And I think all of our guys are capable of doing that.
Go in the back with Joe, all the way in the back.
Given everything he's already accomplished in his career as such a young player, do you think the week-by-week, game-by-game analysis of what Jalen's doing with the passing numbers, do you think that's overblown?
Well, I think a lot of things that you do are overblown. But I realize why you do it. It's your job to create news. It's our job to try to help our guys play winning football. And, I think different players play winning football in different ways. So if you want to be critical of a guy for rushing for 154 yards and think he should not do that so he can pass more, then that's up to you. You can do that if you want. But, we did pass for 192 yards, and I think that's the kind of balance that we want to create. So we're going to continue to try to help our players play to their strengths and work on any weakness that they have so that they can do better at those things. So I don't think this is any more overblown than a lot of other things you do, if you want to know the truth about it. But I kind of get it. It's not personal. I don't mind it. It's okay. I kind of, I get it.
Come up here with Alex. She's right behind.
Nick, in the offseason, you talked about last year you felt as an offense you kind of protected Jalen a little bit. You wanted to develop him more this season and this offseason. But, based on some of the short passes, a lot of the behind the line of scrimmage stuff early against Fresno, are you still kind of developing him, or is this kind of we want to make sure, to build him up and put him in the best opportunity?
We're still developing our team. All right, so our team's got a long ways to go. In a lot of areas. All right, so, we called some passes to throw the ball down the field, and we didn't have very good protection. So is that the quarterback's fault, or is that somebody else's fault? So, some of the conclusions that get drawn are not fair in some instances. Sometimes no one's perfect. They don't make exactly the right read or whatever. That didn't happen much in this game, really, with either quarterback that played. And there's certain things that we need to improve on as a team in the passing game, and that's something that we'll work hard on. The things that we did in the short, quick passes are things that complement our running game and complement what we do on offense, and I think it makes our offense more effective when we can do these things. And they're things that, hopefully we'll be able to continue to do successfully in the future.
Right here with Dwayne.
Coach, you talked about the past chemistry with teams and how that works. 2015 example, you love the chemistry the guys had. I know you're only 2 games in, but how you feel that is right now with your guys?
I think we have a lot of players on our team that I truly think have very, very good attitudes, are working hard, trying to get it right, trying to do better. I sort of like this team, but I also think that some of the circumstances that the season has created so far, has created some opportunities for some guys, but it's also created some circumstances that don't allow us to do exactly what we want to do until we get some players back. So we're going to continue to work to try to improve the players and create roles for the guys that we have. But at the same time, we got to not ask players to do things they're not ready to do.
Got a couple more here. Chris Walsh.
What was Anthony Everett like when you started working with him, and how far has he come in his development over the years?
Well, I think Anthony's like a lot of guys that didn't really ever play the position in high school. I think it takes a little longer for them to develop if they ever play a new position, especially when you take a guy from offense to defense, and he hasn't been a defensive player much. We recruited Anthony because of his athleticism, his speed, had good ball judgment, and so he's worked hard and has become a very good player for us for all last year and, so far this year. And hopefully he'll continue to improve. And we think that you have to have some guys like Anthony Everett in the program who are willing to make the sacrifices to spend the time to develop so that they can become a really good player. And I think his example of that is, something that other players should look at.
Last one here with Tom.
I have two, if it's not too much. First, you haven't had a turnover in either of the two games after putting the ball on the ground a little bit last season. Has that been an extra emphasis this season?
Well, we always emphasize taking care of the ball, and we always emphasize attacking the ball. We haven't created as many turnovers on defense as we would like in terms of ripping the ball out. We have made a few interceptions, but we need to attack the ball more and create more turnovers, and we really emphasize taking care of the ball on offense. Turnover margin, turnover ratio, whatever you want to call it, is one of the most significant statistics in winning and losing, and hopefully we can continue to do a good job of taking care of the ball.
And then can you provide a few updates on some of the guys that were out, like Evans and Jennings and Jacobs? Are we going to see them back this week?
Well, it's a good question. Josh Jacobs worked some in practice last week. He'll work more in practice this week. We